Good morning. Thank you for joining us today for December 15th, 2023, Alabama chapter of ASSP. We're going to start off with a presentation this morning. This morning, Jim Bell is going to do a presentation on foot safety. He's with Asian Dolls. And Hollis is the other one. Yes. Hollis. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Appreciate the chance to be here and talk a little bit about footwear and foot safety, and understand where, maybe kind of understand what interests y'all have in that. Again, my name is Jim Bell. I'm with Dolls. Funny name. You see probably over there on the tablecloth if the camera scans that far. It's actually a company, it's a family-owned third generation company out of Sweden. And we are incorporated in the States now in Charlotte, Carolina. I've been making shoes since 1916. So a lot of expertise on way back. Our shoes are actually made in Finland. So actually over in Jokepi, Finland, which is right next door to Sweden. Sweden and Finland kind of act like Alabama and Mississippi. Against each other. Like they go, we don't know what they're talking about over there. But just kind of a little inside joke with the folks that are there. But been making shoes for a long time. We also do gloves, so we're protecting hands and feet. So we're all about that. We've been doing gloves since about 1947. But incorporating now in the United States in Charlotte. So Charlotte is where our warehouse is. We have about 4 million in inventory there. And we're actually looking for end users and customers of our product to learn about our story and understand what we do. We're about, in Europe, we're about 280 million there in Europe. So big presence there. And so kind of our first time over here with the States. I've been in safety myself for about 20 years. Honeywell safety. Actually, if you remember North Safety, if you know that name, going way back a little ways, North Safety with respiratory and footwear and even in protection, those are our biggest. And then first aid, I never really delved much into the first aid side. But you're a little bit that's what kind of brands that we had at North before Honeywell bought us, and then Honeywell, of course, a lot bigger than what we were doing. And then I was with actually Honeywell for over 10 years, and then went to Brady Corporation. Brady Corporation, lockout, tag out, safety signage, kind of rounded out my PPE into the experience, and was with them for right at 5 years. And then decided to really take a leap of faith to come to a company that really had no presence here in the United States, because I like PPE. I really like it with footwear and with hand protection, two major components. When you talk about footwear and foot protection, it's not real sexy. Not a lot of people are okay. It seems to be more about style, because what they're going to wear probably on the weekend. But most companies an allowance, have to have footwear program if they have known hazards on site. So those are some of the things we'll talk about today, because it is so important. I mean, you're going to look at your building block for safety at your company. You really have to start with footwear. I mean, it's the cornerstone for everything from there on up, because it affects so much, and we'll get into that. So see if we go to our. So again, I mentioned my name. I'm based here out of Birmingham. I cover the whole Southeast. And pretty much everything there. So if I can be of help to you, some here probably get my phone number or email out that you can capture that if you have any questions. And because of the broad background that I have in other areas, people still call me, especially I was the Miller Fall Protection Specialist for 3 years in the state of Alabama. They'll call me and say, hey, can I ask you a question about an anchor point? And I'm like, yeah, if you let me talk about gloves at free.
That's right.
So I kind of have to pit myself out, for other things. I'm like, sure, I can come look at that, and talk about that, because that's still a big part, look, my heart is fall protection, because I did it so, and it's usually pretty intense about whether it's respiratory or fall protection or hearing protection, all those cover those areas. So important for us as safety professionals, we're talking to our employees to understand what kind of help them understand that it's not just common sense. So many times, it's like, well, that's maybe good at the house, but in an industrial setting, hazards, so they're not every day. little bit of common sense, but you get to have standardized protection to help protect them from things that they don't know about. So when you're talking about footwear, what we're going to cover today is what's happening to our feet. We'll talk about standards and certifications a little bit, pieces of the puzzle, how footwear matters, styling, and the FSS, which is what we call the foot stop service, which is what I brought here today. So anybody that wants to try that here today, they actually can stand on that, and it'll tell them whether they have a low, medium, or high insole or instep need. And then you can really get a custom fit, and I'll explain why that's important. So again, footwear, a lot of times most people are familiar with a truck pulling up to the site. The employee goes out there, he disappears for like 45, 50 minutes, takes really full advantage of that situation, usually walks off at maybe his third or fourth choice because the stocking issues that those trucks have. And it's a way that people have been doing it for a long time, with footwear trucks. So we're really turning that whole thing upside down and helping the employee understand, get something new. You're going to buy shoes at Walmart, you got lots of problems. I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I have. And I paid for it. Wore them only one day, but boy, I paid for it for the next 2 or 3. It's like, ooh, that $49 pair. And they have a steel toe, but boy, you're gonna
promise
underneath it. So anyway, we'll get into that. And I tell you what, Tom, you keep me close on time, okay?
You got plenty of time.
Time keep, because it's occupational hazards in the sales world. We can talk a little bit too much sometimes. So, any questions, please? I don't know if you'll get questions from the audience. Then maybe have them raise their hand. We can ask from the field. Any questions here? I want this, good, relaxed issue. Come on in. And we can cover things. So as you see, lost time injuries, foot and ankle, the full numbers that we have for 22, we don't have for 23 yet. 95,000 is the US alone. Just the US alone, foot and ankle. You can see sprains and tears, make up the bulk of that, then fractures, bruise, soreness, cuts and lacerations, and thermal burns. So you see a lot of that lost time injuries due to slips, trips, and falls. How many times do we hear that now on all the lawyers chasing that? They've moved on from big trucks. Some of them are still there. Now they're chasing slips, trips, and falls in a retail setting, a work setting, whatever. So those guys are coming after that hot titty. They know that they can get a lot of money for it. So you see the average workers' comp cost is $48,000. It's actually 48 to about 53. You look at the average for a fall slip injury. OSHA fines begin at $964 for a serious violation, and it goes accordingly up for a willful, that kind of thing. And you can see this is where it gives you ammo when you talk to the people above you, plant managers, finance people that don't understand, wait a minute, why do we need to do a little more? This is costing us too much money. The backside of this is it's going to cost you a whole heck of a lot more. You don't take care of it. And sometimes they don't see that, the forest for the trees. So understanding, what are the cost of sales and working your product and lost time and all those kind of things. Because you see, lost time injuries, average median is around 10 to 14 days. Somebody to be out for a sprain. Much more is like 21 days, and I'm talking business days if there's a fracture. So it's a lot of time and then recovery. Anybody here ever broke a foot or anything? I have. So my interesting story is I was halfway up Mount Everest and I slipped and broke my ankle, and so I had to stop at baby. The real story is I was trying to help my parents do something and broke my ankle. So if you look at my foot did this, and I saw it right in front of me. It went pop all the way in. I broke the tibia and the fibula. And that happened on Mother's Day. I went back into a regular shoe till the July 4th week. That's how long it took me to recover. And you take a lot of grief when you're doing fall protection training and you walk in crutches. People go, "What'd you do? Fall?" I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. That's what happened." Unfortunately. So you get that injury to the foot. I've got 2 screws on this side, 5 screws and a plate on this ankle. The doctor said, "Don't ever break it again." I'm like, "Yes, sir." So that's kind of the thing. It was very uncomfortable, surgery, all those kind of things. And the resulting medical cost of that was, pretty high. So you get into that, not only personally, but what the company had to pay for it and the time it really limited me from doing my job. So our feet work hard for us, make up a quarter of the bones in your whole body. That's amazing. You think of all the bones you have in your body, a quarter of the bones of all the bones in your body are found in your feet. 26 bones per foot, 33 joints per foot, over 100 muscles, tendons, ligaments that are all intertwined in there. And it doesn't take much to get it off balance. Common foot problems, athlete's foot, blisters, corns, plantar fasciitis. Anybody here ever had that? If you have I do that because I have a very high instep. So, yeah, you got to have the right kind of foot, and it helps limit that. Pain in the bottom foot, you wearing shoes too tight, or a poor outsole, insole. Too many times I go to places and I see people with shoes on, the steel showing. You think this is not a badge of honor, like your hard hat maybe with all the stickers. Think about it. Now the shoe has gone past its level. It's like you're riding on bald tires. Wow, it's just going to matter a minute, matter of time before you have an injury or something else is going to happen to your feet. The feeling in the pain in your feet may be a direct result of a heart problem. That's something to pay attention to. Cold, numb feet, toes, cramping when walking a short distance because we spend so much time. Changes in toenails. Those are things you're like, I don't like to think about that, but that's an indicator of the health of the rest of your body. And two major categories of work-related foot injuries: punctures, crushing, sprains and lacerations, and then slip, trips, and falls. Probably the number one most common workplace injury today. Get people split hairs over, well, it's this one or it's that, but so much now today because of the aging workforce. We're having a lot of issues with feet, wearing white shoes for a long time, or it's just bad practices, not stretching. I can't emphasize that enough. Stretch, 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 stretch. Working on stretching your heel, back of your leg, your calf muscles, any of that you can do to stretching 15, 20 minutes a day. Hey, I got 4 fingers pointing back at me. I don't point the finger at anybody. So it's always a common thread to try to stretch to keep your feet and your balance. Think about this. When you're standing, losing balance issues, a lot of times it has to do with the heel. You're backing up, people fall backwards. Most falling forwards is you get too much momentum going, or you're stepping and changing elevations and they miss a step or something like that. So the fall forward, it's usually I've got momentum going forward, but a lot of times a lot of falls are backwards because they may pivot and they move too much. They could get a little dizzy, or they move with too much force and they're not stretched out back here in the back, and you will lose and go backwards. Go down on your hip, pelvic bone, that's the spine, shoulder injuries, all the way down to the fall. So it affects your whole body. So very, very important. Can't emphasize all those issues. So if we move on to standards and certifications, ASTM 2413-8, that's the most recent year that you'll see. OSHA refers to that. You can read that up there. For protective footwear must comply. OSHA says if you know of hazards in your workplace, you have to provide the standards. In other words, here's what you need to be wearing. Tell the employee what they need to be wearing, and also most companies will provide an allowance. I don't know if you have that in here, if you know the allowance is at your company. The average, national average is 150. I see anywhere from 125. I see as low as 75, and I see it as high as 200. So it just depends on the company, what you have to have for your work site, workplace. And you see the basic requirements on impact and compression. So impact is the safety toe cap can withstand a 75-pound fall, basically, or weight drop from 18 inches, while still leaving a half-inch clearance for men and a little bit less for women. Okay, the compression safety toe cap can withstand 2,500 pounds. I think of compression or roll, compression or rolling hazards. Building a 1-inch clearance. That's the standard for the impact and compression. Then you have some other things that play into there, like metatarsal optional testing. puncture resistant sole, electrical hazard, conductive, static dissipative, referred to as ESD. And then there's different levels of static dissipative. And there's even some companies that may require higher. Then you get into a custom type situation. But most employers are only concerned with shoes that meet the impact and compression standards. And they will specifically ask for shoes that are tested to other. But you can see some of the ways we test it, like for the bottom of the foot puncture, the stepping motion, even how we wear the steel toe. If it's composite toe or aluminum, doesn't matter the material. If it's composite, aluminum, or steel, it has to be the same requirement. Okay. The thing is that with steel, we can do more with fashion, right? Because we can make it slender. So this is a steel toe that I have on right now. It's a dress steel toe shoe, very comfortable. When I first looked at it, I went, no, that doesn't look comfortable. But after wearing it, I was like, wow, I've been wearing, this is my second pair. My first pair I wore and it just got scuffed up, messed up. And my manager said, get another pair. Don't look presentable. But I'd wore those for 6 months and just very comfortable. I'm so amazed actually. So steel, we can do more with fashion. Aluminum, take the weight out. Still meets the requirements. That's a good thing. And you can do a little bit more fashion. A composite toe, so thick, kind of makes the foot or shoe kind of look clownish because it has to be so big. But again, there's no metal. And in cold environments, that's important. Transfer of temperatures when you have aluminum or steel. So a lot of times people in North Dakota, I'm on a composite toe, one done. So you can see in different testing for puncture, things like that we do. And then having to read the label. This is kind of important, how to kind of crack the code, if you will. So you look at the current version year, -18. So it tells you the most recent regulation or standard that we're meeting. If it's male or female, I've never seen an F there yet, but usually the male shoe's a little bit wider fit. It's very rare to do that. If it's impact, it has the I, and if it's compression, C. So you look for MIC. And then static dissipative, in this case, up to 35 megohms, and then puncture resistance. So kind of help crack the code on all that. That's what you're looking for in the, if it's Canadian, the CE, or if it's any other information on that.
The static is for if you need to be grounded, if you need to actually have this, you do sensitive something and you need electricity go through you to the floor.
Correct. I mean, there's actually 3 categories. You have electrical hazard, EH, great for electricians, definitely that they're around live wires. Yeah, you might need electrical hazard. But that's the only case. Most of the time, ESD is actually preferable because you're walking on a carpeted surface or on a concrete surface and you may build up enough static charge. You touch something, it could zap it out. So it's a small, not talking about heavy, there's different categories of the static dissipative. Conductive is a whole nother animal. So I've only seen one place in all of Alabama that uses conductive shoes. That was down in Mobile. So that was kind of, okay, they were doing something a little different down there. Like, yeah, there's very few conductive shoes even in the market. But ESD is kind of a new thing that people are saying, I've required EH, but I really don't need it. So because there's no live wires or live energy. Electrical people though definitely would want that, I would say, or if they're in an arc flash situation. But ESD actually is probably more protection for the employee for that. But so you got again, you see a European norm ISO 2345. That is the slip resistance test that really set the standard for so long. Just till recently, ASTM just in 21. Third quarter of the year, actually came out with a slip resistance test that kind of standardized. ASTM is what we follow as manufacturing, right? So we follow ASTM and European norm. So there's different testing bodies and they kind of, so it stabilizes so that when you look at the product, okay, this is what I'm getting. You can trust that it's going to have standards in there that those footwear meet that your employees can rely upon for protection. And you can rely upon for protection. So you'll see that whole level there, 2011, that's actually changed a little bit now. S3, you see that, that means it meets the highest test for slip resistance. SRC is another test. And you've got in HRO and HI, so that's compression, HRO, waterproofing, and then HI is top of the foot. So don't really go into all the EN norms, but slip rest is now, if you see slip resistance, you'll start to see that on some footwear. Probably really started last year a little bit. We're all kind of saying, okay, now we got to do this test, which they actually use a SATRA test. That is the test that we use in Europe. It's ASTM F3445-21 for the year. They'll say SR for slip resistance. So before this, ASTM didn't have any testing at all for slip resistance. They just kind of, yeah, whatever you want to do. But we use that 20344-2011 to measure slip resistance on a ceramic floor, straight up, dry, then with water on the floor, and then at an angle, we add lubricant and glass glycerin lubricant. So it's very tough. I have a video here in a minute, we'll be able to see that. So you'll see there. Go back. So SRA, B, and C. SRC is the toughest because it passed both tests, both ceramic and steel at an angle. So slip strips involved, that kind of thing. My company actually put out a little blurb today. They're doing a thing on the holidays on LinkedIn, and was talking about how this is the best food for Santa. They're just having fun with it, right? Bring them walking on roofs and stuff like that. And I just add to it, slip sliding away, no more. Thinking of the song, right? Anyway, having fun with it. So why Yalis? This is, I mean, really what I wanted you to see here was our muscular skeleton system increase, how that alignment really affects the body. You know, so you have, most people stand on average about 5 hours a day, walk up to 10,000 steps a day, right? Everybody's wearing their Fitbit sometimes or whatever to try to keep up with that. I need to be walking so much and moving. But if you look at that, the alignment can cause knee pain, pain in the pelvis, shoulder blades, neck. And every time you go now to you have a safety day, there's probably somebody there from some kind of physical therapy that's talking to people about, yeah, I've got this, I can't do that, or this, move this way. And, you know, a lot of those are cumulative trauma disorders. Just pull something in the back or something like that, builds up over time, right? So that right there, that whole stretching and making sure you have proper alignment is a key contributor in reducing the lost work hours during the workday. Very key. You know, the cumulative trauma, movement, all these things you can see and read right there will help with your health and well-being, make sure you have the right basis of having that the right correct footwear on. Helps give you that really your foundation for your body and for your health. So a little bit about Yalis, how we've been using correct foot forms and making shoes. We own the full control, which is big. We don't just farm it out to somebody else and then ask them, hey, make this for us, and come back and we don't know what's done. And this thing, 8 controls, real important optimization of that critical footwear components. And then the last, that's what's actually called the proprietary mechanical, these brown things you see over there, that every shoe is shaped and constructed upon the last of the shoe, or for the shoe, to build the shoe out. So if you can show that video, watch this first one. So that covers a little bit about how we make shoes.
Oh, I better
There you can stretch out your feet really well. So, footwear components, you wouldn't believe what goes into making a shoe, all the different things into making one shoe or a pair of shoes. And showing that, that's everything you would need for that particular pair of shoes. And that's an athletic style. So, and to kind of show all the different things that go into making a shoe. A little bit about that, because it's really no small feat how EET. I get well, the same thing, right? That we actually can produce a shoe and make it comfortable versus a welted shoe like this, which is original construction. That's how shoes were made, right? Sewn, actually welted to the outsole, welted to the upper, actually sewn. And usually in the past were considered not very comfortable. But now with materials to make it softer, more flexible for bending, stretching, moving around on the job site during the day, you can come with different materials like nitrile rubber or polyurethane, or repurposed polyurethane, and then different modes on how to actually make the shoe. But it's a sandwich of materials, if you see there in that upper picture. How you have the outsole, the mid plate, the insole, and that's simplified, really. There's about 7 different layers there. I've often wanted to give me a pair of shoes and just cut it in half so you can really see, dissect it through it. But understanding how that's important. Designed for the natural motion of step and stride. And I'll point out something in a minute on that, but just to understand. So when you're looking at shoes, what do we do? So your outsole component, understanding the stabilization, the grip pattern. You can see the dotted lines there. How this large contact area designed to move, actually squeegee as you're walking on a surface to give you the most contact in that area for balance and stabilization. Channels to get rid of oil, water, dirt, all part of this. Design different patterns to provide grip in the faces of the step. Click on this, and then a partnership with Vibram on some other things for a specific shoe. One of the things I'll point out. So understanding when you look at the bottom of a shoe, of any shoe, and looking for wear patterns, for the employees that they've been wearing shoes really, pretty much most people give an allowance for a year, and that's about the maximum I'd go for work shoes. A lot of people want to wear their tennis shoe or something like that to work. I'm like, no, that's not designed to take the punishment of the floor. It may feel good while you're wearing it at the house or while you're doing a specific activity, exercise, walking, stuff like that, but it's not going to take the pounding, the amount of force. When you walk, you deliver, oh gosh, I think it's, if I remember right, it's about 4 times your body weight in each step that you take, that amount of pressure that's delivered to the floor through your shoe. So you want something that's going to be very comfortable and be able to handle that punishment on a daily basis in the work area. So you're looking for the outsole to have a lot of contact, a lot of channeling. I'm going to hike my foot up on this one. This outsole here is a great outsole for contract, outside working. You'll see that's a very common outsole, but it's great for working in a construction zone. It's got big, real wide cleats, real wide areas, so it can, if it handles mud or muck and stuff like that. Whereas this right here is going to be better for more contact, for not as much debris, but so it has channel areas to kick it out, a lot more contact, a little bit of defined edge there for ladder climbing. But the back edge is what I want to see, the front and the back edge. That one of the last things is picturing up there before it went to that last one is this area being beveled actually gives you more contact. So you want to look for that in a shoe, because when you step, having that back corner back here off, not a hard right corner, actually will propel you into the step, actually keep you stabilized. So it's one of the things you want to look for is that kind of a little bit beveled edge on the front back provides more contact. Whereas this right here, you can tell this is more for very aggressive, for just water, if it's slick, oil, ice, things like that. So kind of a multifaceted. So I'll kind of pass these around. You can see that, kind of how that's done on the front and the back. Some stabilization. See the pattern right here, the green area, top and bottom. So it gives you that bevel edge to kind of help with, as you provide grip in the step. Because a lot of people, they wear shoes that has that hard angle in the back. You'll actually wear that down further, walking heavily on the outside of your heel or inside of your heel, things like that. You've got that boot that has the vibrant sole on the bottom. That's the arctic there. Oh, I said right. This little video. Maybe holding on to like now that I let's see that like gotta have weight. Make one sheet. You see maintaining your step, even whether it's wet, whether it's cold, whether it's ice, old, slick, all those kind of things come into play. Make sure that you have.
That was ice he was standing on when that angle was going up?
Lots of ice, and on that other one's frozen.
When it was going up?
He had his foot bent, so it was gonna, gripping that. I want to try it myself almost. I was like, wow, I mean, it's amazing. So I would add, if you don't have a good sole on like that, if you're walking in that type of environment, whether it be cold or very slick, always instruct your folks, take a little shorter gait, right? That's a little bit of common sense, but you would want to shorten your gait. Most people, if you take too much of a gait, then that's when or that kind of thing. So shorten the gait, you can kind of instruct us a little bit to kind of do that. That'll help, but getting into a shoe that's that ability gives you extra. The toe caps, we talked about this a little bit before, the steel, composite, aluminum, that kind of gives you that, again, a lot of people say, I want to go up a size because I'm going to be wearing a protected toe. No, you don't want to do that. I mean, if you can, typically now, most of the steel toes, aluminum and composite are all designed for about an E width. At least that's what we use, about an E width. So it's not going to cramp your toes as long as you're getting the right fit for your shoe. Just making sure most people are like, okay, I wear 10 and a half. And if I put on a 10 and a half, I've not found one yet that's just so crazy done. Do a lot of exotic different shoes, but it fits. I put it on and it fits and I go. So I know that if I'm wearing a 10 and a half E, now if somebody's got a quad E type shoe, I'm like, where you gotta get shoes. I can't help you. I mean, quad E is just a different build and it's way out. But, and that's usually come from wearing the wrong shoes for so long too. And you see the pro nose, that's what they're talking about here, the extra wear cap, because I'm constantly scratching the front of my shoes. So again, footwear, very important to have the right kind of shoe to give you the longest safety for your foot, but also helps protect the shoe. Components, the shank, nail bed penetration, you can see, talking about stainless steel or a PTC type of environment to help protect it. It has to pass a test. The test for penetration is 270 pounds, foot pounds of force on that piece on the bottom of the shoe to help make sure it doesn't penetrate further than that and help protect you. Those are the parts that you can see the actual shoe there. One of the things you want to look at on shoes is protecting the feet, but have a good stable platform. So you want a good. In other words, the shoe doesn't make you work so hard. It's reverse whatever you're walking, whether it's loose material, stepping up, stepping down, all part of the chance to lose grip and slip or trip, slip and fall in areas because that shoe doesn't provide a good base. So look for a shoe that has good torsional stability, doesn't collapse back here around the ankle, that kind of thing. A lot of people say, well, I want to go above the ankle. Now that can be problematic. Sometimes it does provide a little more stability for the ankle. But for somebody that's had ankle surgery, I don't wear anything tight against my ankle, not anymore, because I can feel the screws when I do that. It's like, it's too tight. That hurts. I have to wear an open boot or pull on, basically. But if I wear a boot, but for something that has that stability, you want something that you can have it and get away with it like this versus just automatically carte blanche. Let's put everybody in 6-inch boots. That can be when they make carte blanche statements like that, sometimes it's like, no, you're creating problems. So look at what you're going to do with the stability of the shoe. It doesn't collapse back here real easily. It doesn't pinch, so you don't lose that basis of the shoe. So torsional stability is a good thing to have for any shoe. But a lot of shoes don't have it. All right. Insoles. Pretty much when I talk about insoles, we talk about pour-on in the material of insole. Any shoe that you buy today, pretty much you ought to take the insole out and put it to the side, really. Because that's almost like, You know, they make the shoe, but they're really, the insole is the custom piece that's gonna fit it to your foot. Unique fit for that pair of shoes. So the insole is really kind of an afterthought for most companies. They put it in there and say, yeah, it's a protective. We don't know what kind of foot you have. So always try to get an insole that's designed for your foot, and we'll make that shoe more of a custom fit for you. So we do insoles kind of a little different. We use this pour-on material, it's yellow, that doesn't develop memory. It's amazing. It can take that punishment every day, and not develop memory, not like an EVA insole, which will develop memory real quick and wear out. But this gives you more of a custom fit based on a low, medium, or high instep. Now, people that have, you know, the insoles that they buy, you know, they're $400. Yeah, you want to continue to use that. If you get that from your doctor or orthopedic doctors, yeah, okay, yeah, you need to keep using something like that. But this right here gives you the two critical areas for almost all impact to the foot from just walking, right? And then you have holes to measure, manage the moisture inside the shoe. Another fun fact is that we sweat about half a pint of sweat through our feet. We have so many sweat glands there to try to keep our feet cool. So the holes help to do that. And a heel cup that kind of keeps your foot in place, that line you up anatomically correct. So many shoes don't have that, and you'll see back there the insole will be just worn out, just rounded out. There's no support to keep that foot in the right place within the shoe. So it gives you a good platform and then support for the foot, that control bar. So that's really important for any insole, to use the pour-on material, the raised heel cup, and let's watch that pour-on. This is the third and last video on this, in these. Here's another video. Let's see if it rolls to the next one. Yeah, that one right there. The very next one, the guy's holding his arm up. Yeah. This guy's with pour on it. This is something cool. that really drives home what boron XRD is. So it shows kind of the impact capability, how it freezes on impact and releases, freezes, releases. Does it, and literally, you use these insoles in your shoes, you'll wear the shoe out, put it into your next pair of shoes. So it really doesn't develop that memory, things like that. Probably because they used during the course of a year, I'd probably get a new pair. I mean, the street price on these is about $22 for a pair of insoles. Not bad at all. So just understand that technology that he's talking about there with football pads, and I hit his hand so hard. Was that I'm like, wow, that was a hard impact on his hand with that boron XRD. And for him to just pull it out and do this, I'm like, we've done it ourselves before. We have a bowling ball that we drop on an iPad, and it doesn't break. It hasn't broken yet. And so like, wow, you know, every once in a while though, when we're at a trade show, we'll joke about, there. So like we've watched this video, but it's a little different. It's a thicker material than what we have. We have real thin material, but it has that same components and same capabilities. So that's kind of shows a lot about footwear and how footwear can impact your health, how what you're doing on a daily basis, the different materials, stitch count, high degree of integrity in your shoe. When you have an increased stitch count, the linings that we use, things like that to help protect your feet, and why it's so important. But that's one of the things there. We're going to see this, how it's compressed, how it should look, how it shouldn't look when you're looking at footwear and for stability and to prevent pronation. So you can see how it affects how you're standing and again, the rest of your body from ankles all the way up to your neck. So, and then the BOA system is you're starting to see now a little bit. We used it for a while. We don't make it, it's kind of like boron. We don't make boron, but we incorporate it in the shoe. But the BOA system is a tightening system that helps with slip, trips, and falls even further because it gets rid of shoe strings. Major people always retying their shoes. You can create a hot spot on the top of your foot by tying your shoe too hot or too tight, excuse me. So that's another issue in protecting the employee's feet to make sure that they don't tie the shoes or that they tie or they don't walk around loose. But the BOA actually is a ratcheting system that provides a comprehensive tightness across the board, not just right here. So it tightens up corporate throughout the shoe. And then when you release it, that's all you have to do. So you release it, it comes up all the way. And these are lifetime warranty on the shoe with the BOA mechanism and the wire. So you can see that because that is pretty amazing. Yeah, we saw the BOA in this, and the BOA is underneath that flat mount. So, provides just a better fit, precision. Each time you can actually loosen it a little bit towards the afternoon because your foot's going to swell in the afternoon as you wear it, as you walk around. Swell a little bit. And we show different platforms. This is just kind of showing some of our different platforms, the different types of slip resistance and testing that we do and what it's made out of. So just kind of, I'll roll through these pretty quick. Most of this is showing the different styles, how we use the BOA. The contact level you can see front to back, corners at the top and the bottom of the shoe to help give more contact, hole resistance, outsoles. Is coming to play. This is usually one of the top ones that people pick up on the athletic styles. They like the look of it very well. You can see different ones. I was going to scroll through these pretty quick to show all the different types of shoes. Performance platforms from Vibram that we worked with, BOA on the side. I've had a lot of guys that say, I can reach it easier to reach the front. Well, I got you, dude. So, even getting the waterproof, it has to have a complete booty in it, so your foot will sweat and that sweat will still collect in there. Inside of that, it doesn't have a way to get out, evaporate, like during the normal course of any other shoe. And how that works. For waterproofing, the Arctic platform that we talked about that can be used in any kind of wet or oily environment, not just cold, but we do have for cooler weather and cold. But so kind of showing that it really boils down to the bottom of the shoe, understanding the environment that you're working in, the environments that your employees have to walk and work, surfaces there, and understand what kind of outsole you want for that. So I typically recommend that for a company to pick 5 or 6 styles of footwear. Say, these are ones approved, these are the ones that we give the allowance on. Because again, this is where, skin of the game, $150. We want to make sure that you have the right, and so it helps with compliance. These are the ones we have. And so it helps understanding this is the right footwear, When you have safety glasses, you have maybe 10 or 12 different styles in a plant or less if you can help it. Same thing with earplugs, 2 or 3 different styles. Gloves, well, gloves are like a 200-piece socket set. You gotta have the right one for the job. It's a little different, but you still have ones that you pick and use. People don't bring stuff from the house. You don't want that. So it's kind of the same way we do with shoes, finding, what is best for the facility and what kind of work's being done, and kind of hone in. It may be as many as 10 styles. I have seen that. But coming up with that to say, okay, pick from these are the ones you're going to use, and you need to wear them here. So it drives compliance, drives protection for your employees, and the metatarsal one that uses Portland in the metatarsal area. A couple of them there. And that's kind of that is it today for footwear protection, excuse me, to prevent slip, trips, and falls. Understanding how the foot works, and what it does, and what shoes can do for the protection of feet for employees. I think that's it. Just kind of scrolling through here real quick. I brought some styles in for you to see firsthand. Some of them are mine, some of them aren't. Because maybe you have something in your plant that says, well, I just need a boot that's handling everything, maybe a food processing or something like that, or a larger area, or even for cold in that area. So those are boots that I don't make, and that would be, we don't make anything like that, but that's something for higher up for completely waterproof, maybe say food processing or in a cold area outside for, just short-term use. So these two actually, interesting enough, have no metal in them at all. None. Eyelets, anything, no metal. It's a completely metal-free shoe. Got a couple of them. So that's kind of, I've seen some kind of made on our green line. So for sustainable check marks. Up there, and then it shows the portfolio. Then it talks about the instep. So that's mine right there. You can't see anything between the toe box. It's just completely black. And it shows how we do the different insoles, which we can do that later on here. We'd like to do that today for those of you here. Socks, very important. Bamboo, if you can find a bamboo sock, yeah, that's good because it actually disperses the moisture. It's kind of like Under Armour for your feet. And that's it. So kind of move through that last bit a little bit quicker, but we wanted to spend time on how the shoe's constructed, body mechanics, what happens, how we do and take a step, what it means about slip resistance, what it means about all the components of a shoe to kind of break through the clutter. Because there's a lot of noise wrapped around pretty much any PP that we work with in the field. It's like, okay, these are the hot bells and whistles that everybody's talking about, but what's important to me? What's important to me at this site where I'm at, trying to protect my people? What are they doing? How can I standardize a little bit to help them? We're providing, $150 or whatever it might be. There, you got some skin in the game. You need to have some say-so in what they're wearing. Because it's not for a fashion statement on the weekend. Here's what we want to do. You can use these on the day. We're going to keep you healthier. And some other little things talking about, stretching and things like that you can do. And, or shorter gait, things like that when you're walking through certain areas to help instruct them on how to protect themselves as well. So sharing that information. If I can be of help to you anyway, I got my card up here. Maybe you can provide information for anybody that's online. And I think that'll cover it. Any questions on anything?
Any questions?
Ready?
Jim, well, thank you very much, and we'd like to give you the coveted ASSP mug. That's
Hey.
both microwave and dishwasher safe.
All right, awesome.
We want
Thanks,
the other one
sir.
that isn't dishwasher safe or microwave safe. I can get you that.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
I like it. It's
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
So however you wanna go.
Stay in mind. And I'll play with this for 10 minutes, trying to figure out how to use it. Thanks, Matt, for letting me use your initial slide with the happy holidays. Hey, if you could stand and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Or this afternoon.
Yes. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for life and health and strength and bringing us to be able to gather for the new information that we have, allow us to be able to use it to the benefit of our employees and those around us. Thank you for blessing us with the gifts that you've given us and allow us to use them to the benefit of others. Just thank you for the food that we are about to receive as well, and use it for the health of our body so we can go forward and continue to be strong. In Jesus' name we pray. He put it aside, but
Everybody here, any new members at all? Any announcements? Any shares? I got one. Relocatable power caps. Power strips, as we know them, but you all approve them as relocatable power caps. I met a couple of safety representatives from insurance agencies this year. At the facilities I was at, we got talking about that. I said, I don't want these in my plants. I said, why? Liberty Mutual had 5 million in losses as of May of this year from these causing fires in commercial industrial situations. The other insurance agent I talked to at the governor's conference in August, they had 1.5 to 1 million in losses related to power tabs or power strips. You find these at Walmart, Staples. They're not designed for industrial use. 110-volt equipment, pedestal fans, tools. They're designed for basically computers and low voltage. So in industrial commercial situations, they overheat and cause fires. Having said that, you crazy people like me who set out tons of stuff for the holidays and use these to plug your lights in, you could have a fire in your house related to these overheating. Luckily, I put in a lot of outlets, so all my inflatables are now separate outlets themselves, and I don't use these anymore. I use battery powered lights, so I'm okay. But for those who still use these for their lights, be aware they are catching on fire a lot more than I thought they were. And thanks to the insurance industry, they're telling me, yes, these things do catch on fire. So you all approve. Unfortunately, if you buy them at Walmart, they're probably coming out of China. China puts you all approval on everything. They don't approve anything. You all has now come out with a hologram put on their equipment they test. Give China about 3 years to figure it out. They'll put a hologram on everything. So at least we got 3 years of maybe buying you all approved equipment. Nominations for Safety Professional of the Year. We have not done this in a long time. Nominations are now out. They're sent to Ray Easterlin. His address is reeasterlin@ua.edu. Please, if you think of a safety professional who's involved with ASSP, who's done a lot of work with ASSP and showing some good faith working with ASSP, doing conferences or presentations or getting the food to the meetings, whatever, by all means, nominate him as a safety professional of the year. Want to bring this up. The ASSP Region 4 conference in May down at Disney Springs. It's limited to 200 participants because the hotel can only handle that. That's why it's limited to 200. But it's coming up on May 1st, 2nd. Registration is now open. There is an early bird savings of $100 if you do register now. I'm sure that'll end by the end of maybe January or middle of February, and then the normal cost will go up to whatever it is, plus the $100 they save now. Central Alabama Construction Safety and Health Conference is coming up. First time we've had it since 2019. Hyundai Training Center down in Montgomery. It's going to be the 14th of March. 7:30 to 3. Registration is now open through the University of Alabama, Birmingham, UAB, Deep South Center for Occupational Safety and Health. I tried it this weekend. The only problem with it was that you couldn't see your name. It was fuzzy for some reason. But once you put your name in, if you've gone to one of the conferences before, everything filled in nicely. I will say I didn't get any confirmation that I did register, even though it said I was registered. So I got to call them and make sure I am registered. But it's now open and it is free. And I think they're going to give 0.6 CEU credit. So if you need CEUs for your certifications, it's an opportunity to go to a free conference. It's not bad. Training opportunities. UAB has training opportunities related mainly to respirators and noise. UA Safe State has training opportunities related to environmental, OSHA standards. I want to bring up this free record keeping seminar. It's actually going to be a webinar sometime in January. To discuss all the new changes with record keeping. One of the changes is if you're in a high hazard industry, not all of them, but most of them will require you to send in your 300 OSHA form information to OSHA if you have 100 or more on site. So that'll be something you have to do now. Before it was 250 more, now it's going to be 100. Not all high hazard industries will do it. Most of them will. And in this webinar, you'll figure out if you're one of those lucky people who will have to do that. Upcoming events that I want to talk about. We're going to do a membership recognition luncheon. It's going to be in April 19th here. Trying to get the big room over there to do it. We'll recognize all our long-term members. 10 years and above, we'll get a certificate. 25 years above, we'll actually have it in a nice frame. So we're going to be doing that up in luncheon as well, probably from Urban Cookup will be who provide the luncheon for us. February 16th, we're going to meet at Jacksonville State University. I've got Dr. Chris Schimmel from UA Safe State, who's now our director. He'll be doing a presentation on fire safety with probably some explosive videos and so forth. So that should be a great presentation. We're doing it in conjunction with the section down there for the students at JSU. Then on March 15th, Joe Batiste, who is the area director for OSHA here at the Birmingham office, he's doing a presentation on an OSHA update and emphasis programs that'll be going on. So that'll be in March. And that's all I have. We'll see you January 19th of next year. Have a great, safe holiday season and get rid of your power strips, power together, and replace them with outlets. That's good. Any questions, comments? Any other things I missed to say?
Now I know what to ask for Christmas.
Yeah. Get yourself some lunch if you haven't any, Jim or me. That's all I have.